Ladies and gentlemen, listeners, lovers, and friends, welcome back to the podcast today here at Two Ticks and the Dog Productions above Dave Grohl Alley in beautiful downtown Warren, Ohio, where the sun is shining and we are socially distanced with many people in the room here today. Brandon, getting your pool ready, huh?
Yep, it's up and ready to go.
Got the heater running.
I know we shout out the wives a lot, but 6 years ago today, I asked the most important question of my life.
Oh, congratulations on the...
Will you marry me?
Is that the anniversary of your...
engagement?
And she said yes, obviously.
She said yes. We have
After you bribed her.
I had to bribe her a little bit.
How much did you give her?
A ring and, just like... Had to change a couple ways, You had
to change your ways, but you got that big Greek dowry. That's why I married Renee, for that big Greek dowry. And now we can't spend a penny. Anyways, love you, babe. You probably won't listen to this.
What's going on with you, Jim?
What's going on with me? I got to tell you, I'm going to get my car washed today after the show at Coates Car Care. That's right.
That's it.
Ladies and gents, Coates Car Care. If you go to theprodcast.net and sign up under our giveaways tab, we will draw a name once a week, and you could be eligible to win a free express exterior only wash because we are still managing social distancing. And shortly, by the time this podcast comes out, Coates will have a app. So if you go to the Wash Now, if you search Wash Now on your app store, it'll pop up. You put it in your city, and you could download the Coates app where you can buy single washes. You could sign up for their unlimited wash club. You could buy gift cards, et cetera, et cetera. And when you go to Coates, all you got to do is stick your phone up to the window. And they got a barcode scanner. They scan your thing. You don't have to exchange money. You don't even have to roll your window down.
I think it's a good time. You go right through. You enjoy yourself. Coates Car Care, they're not just your average laser wash type deal where you're just sitting there. It's the real deal.
Yeah, they actually...
depending on where you go, you need to pump the music because the disco lights are going crazy.
The disco lights are pretty sweet. They've got 5 locations: Niles, Cortland, Austintown, and Howland. And then
don't forget about Hermitage.
Yeah, their 5th location in Hermitage, Pennsylvania. So if you are in the greater Warren, Youngstown area, make sure you go to theprodcast.net, sign up for our giveaways, and you could win one of these sweet exterior gift cards, and we will mail it to you along with a super dope Two Ticks and the Dog sticker. And Brandon Giovanni should have some stickers made shortly, but he actually creates both websites. So MDI Studios does obviously the podcast.net, and of course he does coatescarcare.com, where if you go to that website, you can eventually, by the time this airs, you'll be able to click on the top of the page, and if you have a iPhone, you can go to that app store, or if you have an Android, you can go. So yeah, pretty dope.
Now, before you get in this, Jim, can I give the hint before you get into things? I know they can't see me out there, but what am I doing over here, Jim?
Oh, he's golf clapping.
I'm giving a golf clap. I'm giving a golf clap. And that's just for the Busch Lights, not even for our host. That's just for the Busch Lights.
This is for the Busch Lights. This is a special podcast today. This is our first professional athlete. We've had a presidential candidate. We've had various elected officials. We had a Tony-nominated director and actor. And now we get to have a professional golfer who's on the PGA Tour. He is a 2-time State of Ohio champion at Warren JFK. Go Eagles. I know Brandon can't claim that. We'll all be screaming, "Are you an Eagle?" later after we have a couple more Busch Lights. But we want to give a warm welcome and shout out to PGA Tour professional golfer and the host of Crushing It with Kokrak, Jason Kokrak. Welcome to the show, man.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me. It's having a couple Busch Lights and having a good time.
Yeah, you're a Busch Light guy, which is wild to me.
Yeah, I just kind of got into it. My father-in-law drinks it. I used to be a Budweiser guy, and now I kind of flip-flop between the two. But it's good. I think it's a good light beer. And
are you sponsored by Busch Light?
No. But we can push that later.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would love that.
Yeah, Busch Light. Listen,
Anheuser-Busch. That'd be a nice company.
I'm sure.
To get
what we want to do is pump enough of those Busch Lights and maybe some maybe some Darlene's in you and get you down to Modern Methods, and
There
maybe
you go.
Adam could sponsor you.
No.
But it'd probably have to be a trade deal because it's COVID-19. I don't think he has the bankroll as Anheuser-Busch.
That's
just
okay.
yet.
I mean, a little bit of product and a little bit of cash will work.
I'm
Yeah,
just
there you go.
happy that he's a Busch Light guy. My friends bust my balls all the time that I drink Busch. I drink it by choice, not by because I only got $10 left. Like I would go to the bar and order a Busch Light for the same price as a Bud Light, but they don't have it because it's considered the cheap beer. So once this guy comes in, now we have a professional athlete in here, and he passes me over a Busch Light. That just made my day.
Salt of the earth, man. He's like a real human being, which people sometimes
that's it.
think, they're like, oh, do you ever get that? People are like, oh, Jason, oh.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
some people do, but I mean, it's not the same as like NBA players or something like that. I mean, watching The Last Dance with Michael Jordan, it's like nothing like that. I
Well,
mean, even
not
with
yet.
even with Tiger and stuff like that on tour, he's the GOAT. He's the guy that everybody freaks out about. As soon as he comes into a tournament, they sell out. Like everybody's going to be there. Everybody wants to go. It's a shit show, really. There's so many people.
Well,
that
listen,
go.
you're going to the Masters, your first Masters
Yep.
in. Did you say September?
I think November is
November.
the date right
Okay.
now. I mean, things change so fast. When the whole thing came up, I mean, it changed so fast. So, I mean, I think once people go back out into the general public, it's going to happen again. I mean, you're going to have more outbreaks until we find a vaccine, and we'll just have to, kind of play it by ear.
What's it been like since you've been sheltering in place, with COVID? Because you're supposed to be on the tour now, right? I mean,
Yeah, I'd be on the road this week. I don't even know what it would be, to be honest. I've really enjoyed my time off. The tour plays from the beginning of January, first week in January, all the way through November. I mean, we're playing nonstop golf, a month off in December, basically. But there was still an event. I played the Shark Shootout this year and played pretty well and had a great time. But, I mean, you still have to, have a little bit of time off. Back before I was on tour, I mean, there was a good couple months off that you can take.
Right.
And now it's just you have to play constantly to keep enough points unless you win or unless you do something special for a few weeks.
you look like you've been keeping in shape since the shelter in place. Like that, I mentioned that when we were sitting in the other room, kind of just BSing. Like,
Yeah.
you look like you're in good shape, even better shape than you were. Just from pictures and stuff.
Well, I was fat back then.
I didn't want to say that.
I mean, I see
but
pictures of
you
myself.
might have-
I'm like, man, I am fat. I mean,
Is
my
it
mirror?
considered- is
Maybe
it-
my mirror is lying to me at home or something. But no.
Is it considered fat or that extra push on that drive?
It could be a little bit of both. I don't think I've lost too many yards, losing a little bit of weight. But kind of the middle of last year, I decided to start trying to just eat better.
Yeah.
Portion control and just, eat better. Don't order the fried sandwich. Get the grilled one. Just try to do small things. Eliminate the high sugar intake as far as like a Coca-Cola or something like that. So, which I still partake in. It's hard not to, but it's good. I swear there's something in there that gets you addicted to it.
Oh, absolutely.
But it is, it was one of those things. I kept dropping weight, and I'm like, how are you doing? And I was, well, I got 2 young kids. I'm up all the time. I walk 10 miles a day playing golf when I'm on the road, and I do eat. I eat a ton, but it's just you're working more than what you're putting in.
That's awesome. I mean, it seems like you're focused now.
Yeah,
right?
I dropped almost 30 pounds at one point. I'm not quite there now because of the COVID thing, but it was pretty close. But I mean, 30 pounds is my 1-year-old right now.
Well, let me ask you this: because of the COVID, though, so they're going to change the game, right? It's going to be no caddies.
No, their caddies are going to be. They're going to be there.
Okay.
They are going to get tested. We're going to get tested. We have to do protocols of an at-home test. We got to do a few other things that across the board. It's going to be a lot, but to get sports back on TV, with golf and MMA and NASCAR starting, we'll see. I mean, we are outside, so it should be
Right.
safer, but there's no family for the first 4 events. There's no
fans.
no fans, so it's going to be kind of a bare bones crew, but we'll see. I mean, it's going to be a learning curve when I get there, as far as I know. So, but when I show up on Monday, I'm going to have that nasal swab thing and wait 15 minutes to get paperwork, and then I'm allowed on the golf course.
Heard it's painful.
Wow.
Yeah, I heard it doesn't feel very good.
Yeah, I heard it
And
burns.
it's all the way in the back. I mean, that's what's the craziest
It's like
thing
a
about all this.
6-inch thing, and they
Yeah.
jam it all the way back to
It's
your
like,
brain.
here it is, 2020, and almost all cars are about to become electric, but what we have to put a cotton swab to the back of your brain.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
I mean, I understand vaccines,
And it's still
like
not.
curing
It's still
things
not
are-
100%. I mean, they got so many false negatives and
Yeah.
whatnot. They don't even have it, perfect yet.
Now people are like starting to get it again. Like it's coming back. A couple people I've heard that they've gotten it twice, and I'm like, well, that doesn't seem right. But
Well, I was watching a thing the other day, and they were saying that they think that's just the remnants of the virus. It's just DNA material that's still in their body that they haven't expelled
absolutely.
yet, and that's why they're getting those positive tests back.
yeah,
No,
Hopefully.
did the PGA shut down immediately when this was going on, or were you guys one of the last ones to shut? One of the last sports?
As I remember it, NBA I think was the leading cause, and then we were in Florida playing the Players Championship. We got the first round in, and then they came out on the jumbotrons, like not jumbotrons, but the leaderboards or whatever, saying that there was going to be no fans for the rest of the week. Right there, but. I think nobody thought that it was going to move that fast.
How was that? Like fans, no fans. Did you like it better? Did you like it? Did you get juice from the fans? Or like, you hit a big drive and they get crazy. They pump you up.
You the Happy Gilmore?
I love. It's a lot of fun playing in fans. You come down the stretch and. You got, a couple thousand people here. You play Waste Management or something like that, and you got 30,000 people, screaming at you. I mean, you get pretty amped up, and I think it's great for the game. I mean, you saw the MMA fight.
Right.
It was, kind of weird.
Yeah, it was kind of weird.
There's no chanting. There's no,
less
scream.
energy. Yeah.
And that's what's crazy about all this. I'm a semi wrestling fan, and wrestling's still going on, but
You're
they're doing
super
it.
fan, bro.
No,
Come
I'm
on.
really not. But at the end of the day, like they're still doing like Monday Night Raw and SmackDown or whatever down, but there's no fans.
Yeah.
And it's just like certain sport, you're just so accustomed to it that I think Fox just announced if they do NFL with no fans, they're going to simulate fans
Cheering?
and cheering. I think that's a great idea because it's like
That's corny as hell.
well, it's corny
so,
as
too.
hell.
It's fucking corny.
It's corny as hell, but like no one wants to sit there. It's so dry
It's like
when you're
sitcom
watching
laughter.
these sports.
It's like you're pumping laughter in to get people to laugh in a sitcom. Like, come on.
Well, I mean, I get that though. but at
Live
the same
studio
time-
audience, different.
But,
Yeah.
but at the same time, though, I can't go to a Browns game. Okay, I got to deal with that. But like my Browns game watching on TV, the game that I don't go, can I at least like sound and look as best as possible? But-
Artificial. I'm not into that. But whatever. However it works. I just hope they get sports back on. I'm sure you're
Just
ready to
it-
get back on the course. And
For sure. I'm starting to get the itch. I mean, it was great, as we were talking about earlier. I mean, it's been great. I've been able to, get into
Be
a
with your
routine
family
routine
and-
with my
yeah.
kids. It's been awesome. I mean, I never really get a break. So this has been a great break, but I'm going to come back. I'm going to start practicing here the next couple weeks to get prepared to start up in Fort Worth. But I mean, if stuff happens between then and now, I mean, things can still change, but
Sure.
I foresee, the first couple happening and then we'll go from there. But if somebody on tour does get COVID or whatever, the tour is going to be in, a
Jeopardy.
shitstorm.
Yeah.
Well, and that's where like, so what happens though? Let's say like you're ahead of it. You're doing your thing. You're
Yeah.
doing everything that they tell you. You're staying away. Family's not even invited yet. You're looking like you're about to win this tour, and then next thing you know, you get COVID. So now obviously you got to be off the tour. Now you got to go in quarantine, right? But then you're just disqualified? Like
Yeah.
how are sponsors going to accept that? How are
That's a good question.
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Because obviously sponsorship grows with how good you are, and now it's like.
That's a great question. I mean, nobody knows, really. I mean, it's pretty incredible. I mean, it's crazy to think that somebody's going to get this on a tour, and if you have to quarantine, you got to quarantine there. You're not going to be able to go anywhere. So, I mean,
Can you come back? I mean, I guess with golf, it's all about add and subtract in a sense, like you getting the number. Would you, can you come back? I guess so. We're just getting back on the course.
once you're not testing positive for the virus, I mean, I think you can come back, but I don't think we actually know what's going to happen.
He's not the commissioner. Don't put him on the spot here. Okay?
No. I mean,
Let's keep it light for
I love
Christ's
it.
sake.
I mean,
Right,
the commission knows way more than I do. I mean,
Right.
Trump came out and was talking about it during that match with Dustin, Rory, Ricky, and Matt Wolf last Sunday. I mean, it was fun to watch because it was something live, but it was a little bit boring. I mean, it's 4 guys on the golf course carrying their bags with, a little bit of commentating from Gary Koch and a couple guys. But, it was fun to watch. I mean, the guys are some of the best in the world, but I figured maybe a beer or two here and there, and then, a little bit more shit talking would have been fun to watch.
Would have been better, right? Yeah.
I mean, I hope the Tiger Phil thing's a little bit more fun to watch with a little bit of storytelling or whatever happens, because you got 4 elite athletes, Hall of Fame quarterbacks and 2 Hall of Fame golfers. I mean, 2 of the best to ever do it in both sports. I mean, it should be fun to watch, but I hope they kind of try to needle each other and get under each other's skin. I mean, I think that makes for better TV.
Yeah, it's entertainment
for something for golf. It would be great for golf instead of this is a 3-foot putt for par.
Well,
great.
I have a question for you. Is like, because when you watch it on TV, you really only they're going shot to shot to shot. They don't want to bore you with the other stuff on the side.
Oh, for sure.
I'm not I'm barely an amateur golfer, if that's even considered. Whatever, but. The majority of people, when they go golfing, they got that 8 people, 4 people, or at least 4 people. Everyone's kind of gathered together, and you wait for each other at the holes and stuff like that. How many people are really around you when you're doing a course? Because we don't get to see that on TV. We don't know. Like, I mean, are you jumping? Obviously, you're jumping in your car with your caddy, but are you teamed up with anybody?
They have to walk. He's not. You walk.
Or do you walk?
No, we walk.
Yeah, they walk. They're not in a cart.
I'm sorry.
Fucking cart. He's a pro, bro.
So you walk.
Yeah, I gotta
and then
walk.
Are you just all by yourself? Like, obviously.
No, my caddy's next to me, and then
Right.
we have 2 or 3 other players, and they have their caddies. So there's 6 guys walking the fairways. Yeah, if I hit my ball right into the trees. I mean, if there's fans on any of the golf courses, and normally there's not a ton around me, but if you're a late Sunday, there's a ton of people, you're going to be right next to people. But if there's no fans, there's nobody to be out there. But you also have walking scores and, a couple other people in the group, certain tournaments, Waste Management sends a security guard or a police officer with you. So really more people than you think. I mean, I was talking to, I can't remember who I was talking to, and they said it's a minimum of 1,000 to 1,500 people alone outside of the golfers to run a golf tournament.
Really?
Yeah, all the volunteers, all the people that are working the clubhouse, security, people just doing the cars, the courtesy cars, driving families around or getting us a car to drive for the week. I mean, there's so much that goes into a golf tournament that nobody ever sees. I mean, all the walking scores, they show up and they have to be bussed in from somewhere else. So, I mean, there's a minimum of 1,000 people that need to be around the golf course at some point to do their job.
Wow.
Talking about the walking part of it though, how do you stay in shape for that during this particular time? I mean, you're saying you're walking 10 miles a week, a day. How does that?
It would range from 7 to 10 miles a day
on the course.
Yeah, just on the golf course. Like from the time I show up, eat breakfast or lunch, warm up on the range. I mean.
Yeah, walk us through your routine, man. How does that happen? You get there, depends on the tee time.
Yeah, I'm about an hour and a half guy. I give myself a half an hour to eat breakfast or lunch or whatever. Maybe an hour and 45 minutes to give myself some more time. Certain golf courses have ranges that are right there. Some you got to take, and you have to just depend. You have to base your whole schedule off of that. Then I go into the locker room, change my shoes, stretch a little bit, and head out, putt for 10 or 12 minutes and go to the range, warm up, get things where I need them to be, go back, putt a little bit more, might chip a little bit, and then head out.
But how do you stay in shape to do all that walking, multiple days in a row? That's a lot of walking for most people.
For me, I mean, I've just been doing it ever since I was a little kid.
Yeah.
I mean, college, you were carrying your own bag for 36 holes in one day. So it's, it's kind of ingrained to me. I've been doing it for a long time. So I'm pretty used to it. I mean, now that I don't have to carry my own bag, it's quite nice. I mean, you're just walking a nice green golf course. It's a very picturesque job. I mean, I wouldn't change it for the world. I mean, it's awesome. I'm doing what I loved, what I was good at as a kid, and I wouldn't change it for anything.
Probably beats working in the steel mill.
Yeah, especially here in the Steel Valley.
Right. How important's the caddy? You get to caddy, because they're usually like good scratch golfers too, right?
Yeah, I got this question just last week. I mean, it's very integral. He's a huge part of what I do because I trust him to get the numbers if I just, I'm trying to focus on something else. He is my caddy that I hired a couple years ago, David Robinson. Not the Admiral that played for the Spurs.
Gotcha.
David Robinson from Georgia. He's an unbelievable green reader. Everybody that's on the PGA Tour would know my caddy because he was a great player himself. I mean, he was on the mini tours. He had Web.com status for I think three or 4 years. I mean, he's a great player, and I think we've finally hit a nice streak where we know what I know what he's thinking and he knows what I'm thinking, and we just kind of we've meshed really well and we have a good time out there.
You've been a pro since 2012.
Yeah, I turned pro in 2008, but I was on the mini tour.
On the tour in
11-12 season was my first.
How long has this guy been with you, David Robinson?
3 years.
The Admiral.
The Admiral.
The non-Admiral. Yeah, 3 years.
Yeah, 3 years.
So now you guys are, like you're saying, you're really ingrained.
Yeah. He knows how far I hit the clubs, which a lot of caddies would struggle with my game because I can hit my clubs so drastically different distances. So, I can push clubs 10, 12, 15 yards past what a stock one would be, and I can hit it that far, but it's just not good for my body to do it all the time. But if I want to step on one, he knows how far that's going to go because he's looking on the green where my ball lands in relation to where my ball ends up, and he knows the actual real distance that I hit the shot. Whether it's 4 yards short of the flag, 5 yards long, or whatever, whether it's right or left, he's measuring and getting a distance for what I say, and he's one of the best in the business for sure.
So a caddy's like a player too. Like, I mean,
he's like an assistant coach, man.
But there are caddies that don't play golf. They're just
really
they know how to either talk to. But there are pros out there that don't. They want their caddy to just carry the bag.
Do you ever debate with him? Like, is he like, this is the club that you need or anything like that? And you're like, I don't know, I'm filling this club. And then, like, how does that happen?
I mean,
because there's money on the line.
Well,
this is not just your buddy
he would say this.
Out.
He would say the same thing. You're the one pulling the trigger, so you make that call. I mean, he's been wrong. I've been wrong. I've been wrong way more than he has. But I mean, I made a joke to him last year. I was like, you get one veto around if you're like, no, I'm not doing this. Like if I want to hit driver on this par 4 that I think I can get to, and you got to cover 330 over water, and he's just like, no, this is a 3-iron or 4-iron out to the right. Play the hole smart. He gets one veto.
See, for prodders out there that aren't, like, I'm not a golfer, right? So for prodders out there that aren't golfers, this is, like, real cool because it's not just a physical game. It's so much mental involved.
Absolutely.
So, like, does he help you get your mental game together, too? Does he give you workout tips on the physical side of it? Or?
No, not too much physical. I mean, I'm a pretty big guy. He knows, basically, if he can explain it right to me, then I'm going to be able to do it. But, there's other golfers that, just are, real mental about it and they need to be told what to do and whatever. So I'm more of a field player and he knows that. But, I mean,
now you're 6'4", 200
call it 220.
Okay. 6'4"? Barry's going and giving me the number.
You think I'm taller? Yeah. I might be closer to 6'5" with shoes.
But you're a big guy, is my point.
Yeah. I mean,
so you can smash the ball.
Yeah. I mean, there's guys that hit it further than me, but like I hit the ball pretty straight with a driver in comparison to some of the longer players out there. But over the years, in college I hit it further, but I didn't hit it on the planet. But if I did, I played really well. But PGA Tour is about consistency. I mean, you see guys out there and they win and then they lose their card the next year or 2 years later. I've kind of prided myself on this is 9 years on the tour for me, and only was really close to losing my card one time. That was my rookie season. So I've gotten consistently better over the last 9 years on the PGA Tour, and I want to continue to do that. If I can do that, then I'm going to start winning more and more.
Now you're a Xavier. You went to Xavier University down in Cincy.
Yep.
You're a JFK. Warren Eagles. What's up? He's a.
I'm a Warren Harding Raider. I mean, it's like what is?
Wow, that's impressive that you can even do that.
Yeah, I was kind of. Yeah.
Is Flipper over there in the corner?
What the hell is that? So, two-time state champion at
Yes, sir.
JFK, and then you go to Xavier. And then how did you get how does one go about getting their PGA card? Because you came out of college and then you were like...
Well, it's a little different now. They've changed
Okay.
where cards are available. Now you have to go through the web.com to get your PGA Tour card now. Back when I did it, it was qualifying school. There's 4 stages, pre-qualifying, first, second, and third stage. Third stage, it was 6 rounds. And it was in Florida. I think it's in Arizona every other year or something like that. But it's kind of crazy. But, after graduating and finishing up, I decided to turn pro. I played the mini tours and got a car and drove around the mini tours and kind of really struggled the first couple of years. I was I was living down in Charlotte, and I was down to my last basically tournament where I can enter. Like, mini tours are legalized gambling, so everybody puts up $1,500, and there might be one sponsor of the tournament that will bump it up $5-10 or something like that. And I probably only made $60,000 in the first 2 years that I played, but I was spending $50,000 a year to travel, $35,000 to $50,000 a year, traveling, hotels.
Were you working at the same time or just golfing?
No, it was just golfing, and I would honestly, my wife tells the story better than I do, but I used to, go and hustle people on the pool table. Not even gonna lie.
Not only can he golf, but he's Minnesota Fats on the weekend.
I would come home with like wads of cash, and my wife would be like, "What is that?" I'm like, "Well, I had
Selling grass.
I had a few drinks, and it turned into us gambling, and I won." More often than I lost, but
Now, is that like after the golfing? Like, hey, let's go shoot some rounds of pool.
no, well, not necessarily. This would be like kind of off weeks and stuff like that. I wouldn't do it, but I couldn't do both at the same time.
You get a pool table in your house?
I do.
Yeah.
I do.
Still pretty good, obviously.
I don't know. You can ask Jimmy over there in the corner. I mean,
He's giving the thumbs up.
he knows that I can when I want to turn it on, or it's game time. I'm pretty tough to beat.
Jimmy was going to sit second chair. Jimmy is Jason's cousin, and he was an All-American at Mercyhurst. Yeah, he was an incredible football player. He probably got the hardest punch of his life when he was a senior in high school, when he was a student of mine. Both of these guys were at Kennedy when I was teaching. Jason was smarter. He didn't take my class, but Jimmy took it.
Too hard.
And still is pissed that I think he got a C+. I think I might have bumped it up to a B, though. But anyways... how difficult is it? You got 2 young kids. You
Yep.
got a 3-year-old and a 1-year-old.
Yeah.
How difficult is it? And of course, you're married, so you had a wife to answer to. Mm-hmm. How difficult is it while you're traveling like all over the country to all these tours? Is it hard to maintain those connections? And like, how do you manage that?
Yeah, I mean, I come home and my wife fills me in. And they're like, "Well, we're not doing this nipple on the bottle this week. We've changed over to this." I'm like, "Okay," I'm trying to write all these things down. I'm like, "Man, this is a lot of stuff," but. She's a wonderful woman and takes great care of our kids. But they traveled. I mean, they traveled probably maybe not 50%, but they would pick and choose the events. But with 2 now, it's tougher. I mean, a young 1-year-old and a 3-year-old on a plane going cross country to California isn't really that fun. I mean, they're either hungry, they need a nap, or my 3-year-old's getting to the point where he can go with me or whatever. But
is he a golfer? Does he golf now?
you know what? I did get him a real set of golf clubs, not the little plastic ones.
Nice.
I contacted a friend and got 4, 5, 6 clubs for him, and we went out last year, and he can actually hit the ball. It's pretty impressive. He grips it.
I got good genetics. Sorry.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, my wife's 5'7", 5'8", so I mean, my kids are not going to be small.
Is PGA like NASCAR, or are they following? Like, are you guys living out of hotel rooms? Do you guys have like an RV? Do you guys like? How often are you changing locations throughout like a normal month?
Well, if you play 4 in a row, you're changing locations 4 times, and now the first 4 starting up is going to be Fort Worth, Texas, to Hilton Head Island, to Cromwell, Connecticut, then to Detroit. Not normally like in a normal schedule.
They really put that end cap on there. Like,
yeah,
you're going to all these really nice places, and then you're going to Detroit.
Yeah. Actually, Detroit's golf course is really kind of cool. It's an old school golf course. It's just not in a great neighborhood, but there is an MGM there, so I get to stay at an MGM and use my credit there. So
Nice.
So in a normal month prior to COVID, you're doing 4 different locations.
4 different locations.
How often how often is home life compared to PGA life?
So I mean, we were down in Florida, and we had family down for 2 of the Florida swings. We would rent homes. I mean, it's kind of the easiest way to do it. If you're going to have anybody else, if I'm alone, I've actually been renting more Airbnbs and stuff like that. Just it's a little bit more low key. It's nice. I can cook my own meals, stay healthy, and really not do anything special. I mean, if you're in a hotel room and you're seeing people in the lobby and everything, now it's going to be extra crazy now. But we'll see what happens. But I think I'm going to go back to renting small homes that I can, spray some disinfectant and trying to stay as safe as possible, and basically quarantine with, basically my caddy and myself if I decide to drive or fly. I don't really want to fly right now because you don't know what's going to happen. At least if I'm in a car, I know I can control some of the stuff.
Yeah, I feel bad. I just turned a job down in Florida because I didn't want to fly.
Yeah,
there's like 7 people on a plane now, though.
Yeah, there's nobody on a plane.
Well,
you have to
7 people,
but it's recirculated air.
Right. It's recirculated air, and then I've heard the reverse. So you think like, oh, it's only gonna be a few people, and then it's jammed.
Yeah,
so I would have to
friend of mine same way.
Yeah.
I think Barry just brought up a fun question. Do you have does golfers have an agent? Do you have to do all your own booking?
No, I have an agent. I have a manager that takes care of. Well, he does for me. Not all players do, but I'll text him and be like, hey, can you look for a house for this event? And I'll get a couple emails and I'll be like, let's book this one. And he's got my credit card or whatever, and he'll book it. My wife books some of them. I book some of them. Just depends on what it is or where we find it.
I want to back up for a second. You mentioned about your 3-year-old, and so obviously he's going to be, he's all young kids that age. Boys usually typically look up to their dads. So he's probably, if he ends up being a golfer, you'll be his inspiration.
Yeah, I hope so. I know a lot of my friends' kids. They I can't remember, but kids like Ricky Fowler, and they some of the younger guys, Justin Thomas and Rory. They like these guys, and you're like, well, Dad plays golf on the PGA Tour too, but these guys are number 1 in the world. They're winning majors all the time. It's just if you were in the NBA, but you ride the bench on Michael Jordan's team or LeBron's team right now, and it's just that guy is it. Well, he's the man.
Let me ask you this: who inspired you to golf? How did you get started?
I mean, my dad, grandfather, and great grandfather all were pretty damn good golfers. They were good, and they kind of inspired me. My dad would take me to the golf course. I think they recognized I had a natural ability. They took me out the first time, and I would just hit the ball every time.
When did you start?
Probably 3.
Okay.
My son's age, about that. And I think, you can learn the game faster if you start later in life, because then you can learn faster about the information, the golf swing. But the natural ability sometimes overrides that with, certain people. So I started young, and I'm very blessed to be that way, because I am more of a field player. Some of the guys that are more technique oriented, they when they struggle, they really struggle.
So what do you think it is? Do you think it's equal tempo of the swing and physicality, or if you had to pick one of those? Would you rather be bigger and hit the shit out of the ball, or have tempo and have finesse?
I mean, the game is going towards the Tiger effect.
Yeah.
Smash it. And I mean, I used to smash it a lot further than I do now, but the gear is still in there. I can still move it out there, just maybe not as far as I used to.
That's why your show's called Crushing It with Kokrak, not Finessing It with Kokrak.
Yeah.
Oh, but my father-in-law tells me all the time, Brandon, you got to finesse it. You got to finesse it. You got to get out there.
I mean, everybody thinks when you're trying to hit a long drive, you just try to grip it as hard as possible.
It's about the finesse.
You got to have an even grip pressure the whole way. If you it'll slow you down. The harder you grip the golf club, it'll actually slow you down.
Have you got to in the past couple of months that you've been off? Have you got to go back to some of your favorite courses around here, the ones that you had your high school memories with?
Yeah.
Talk about those.
Except
I'm interested in asking you.
Yeah, Candywood's gone.
Like I said, I'll go out 10, 15 times a year.
Yeah.
Some of the best times of my life. Some of the stupidest things I've ever done.
Yeah.
Some of the dumbest bets I've ever done out there.
Well, you combine alcohol and a golf cart,
Right.
and some slippery grass. You can do some weird stuff, but it does happen.
Have you got to hit some of those?
You know
those
what?
fun memories?
I grew up playing Candywood in Trumbull Country Club, and Candywood was one of the fun golf courses to play. I loved it. Avalon South was fun. Now it's sort of making a comeback. I heard so.
Right. I just
played a little bit. At Avalon Lakes, but
what was your cheap course around this area for the warm?
Candywood is by far one of the best. I mean. But the golf around this area, all across the Northeast, no matter where he goes, you're going to find a golf course that's pretty good.
Right.
I mean, you can go play Tamer Win with the right conditions. The greens will be running nice. You shoot a couple under on the front nine, and then you shoot 50 on the back nine because it's all tree lined.
My buddies make fun of me because, and I like this golf course, but I'm a Cranberry fan.
Okay, you like Cranberry? That's fine.
It's just, I think it's just a fun course because
hell yeah.
I'm with people that don't know how to golf. I barely know how to golf, and I just figure that you go to a place like that, it's just fun to just get out there and just do your thing.
But he would have to play Cranberry with a putter. The whole I mean, let's be honest.
I mean, John Daly can hit a putter like 280 yards.
That's what I'm saying.
Speaking of which,
probably 300 yards.
Like there's certain players and certain friends of mine that I hate to say it, but I don't enjoy golfing with because they're not
you get that super negative guy.
What are your friends like? I mean, do your friends call you to go golfing? Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Actually, one sitting right next to you.
Right.
He actually just joined with me. I'm a member at Hudson Country Club.
Okay.
And I'll go out there and I'll hit some balls and chip and putt. And Jimmy and I actually played about a whiskey route, 5 holes, and then picked up what was that? What dinner was that? I don't know when it was, but was that Easter dinner? And then played the next day, and I actually played. I think I make 6 or 7 birdies in a row, starting on like 8 or 9. I mean, and I hadn't played, but I knew if I went and played the next day, I'd shoot 80.
So do they just assume you're going to win, but they're just trying to break a quick? They're just trying to go 15 under.
Jimmy argued for a shot and a half a hole. And he is a 10, 11 handicap, and he's a pretty good one because, I mean, he hits all irons off the tees now. He struggles with the driver, which I don't blame him, but he gets the golf ball around the golf course pretty good for hitting all irons. It's pretty impressive.
I cannot figure out the chip game.
You're talking to a guy that crushes it. I don't chip it well either.
Oh.
Like I have a short game coach that just hits himself in the head with a tack hammer when I show up.
Within 20 feet of the greens, I'm putting it because I'm going to be able to control that putt.
You putt from the rough too?
I hate to admit it.
He won't admit it, but
I listen. I can't chip.
Jimmy was talking about some gay tendencies earlier, so I don't know. You guys are sitting on the same red
This
couch.
is my father-in-law's like,
That's
you
the
got to
casting
finesse.
couch,
You got
by
to
the way.
finesse.
I bet it is.
Very dirty. couch.
People don't understand. I think the chip game. What's the
steam
most
cleaned.
difficult swing? I hate the chip game.
What about the long bunker shot? You like the long bunker shot?
Well-
That's like the hardest shot in the game. Yeah.
Right.
You got a 65-yard bunker shot. You got fluffy sand, do a back pin with water behind it. You're like, yeah, I'm going to chunk this out for 40 yards and then try to get up and down.
Right.
There's hard shots in golf. I mean, there's hard ones for me. I mean, but, I
Just
practice.
because you're on a cheap course either does not change the idea of the game.
No, I mean, the greens are probably a little flatter and a little bit slower, so it makes it a little bit easier. But, I mean, there is a couple years ago I had a guys trip out to Arizona. The Waste Management, they wanted to come out, so they came out for I think Saturday or Sunday, and then we stayed in the rental property I had. I got this condo that was it slept 6 or 7, and we just piled all the guys in. I think there ended up being 7 guys, and I bet them all $100 they couldn't break 100 from my tee boxes, and some of them. Well, one of them is an ex-professional. He did break 100, but he shot 85 or something like that. But all the rest of them couldn't break 100. And they're all golfers that are like, oh, yeah, I shot 85 last week. I shot 87. I was like, you can't break 100 on this golf course. Just like, can a 10 handicap, they say, can a 10 handicap break 120 on a U.S. Open golf course? And no.
Well, what is the big difference? Like local courses versus, I'm sure they're a lot nicer or whatever.
Green
but
speeds, it's just like if you, off the greens, you go to play Oakmont, which is a standard U.S. Open golf course. It's an incredible place. It's one of my favorite places to play. because it's that difficult. If you put it in a spot, you could be on the green and worry about chipping it from 50 yards on your next shot. And then if you do that and miss that next shot, the ball is going to roll back to your feet. So, So it's not like you go to Tamerwin and like you chip it across the green and it goes 4 feet over.
You keep bringing up Tamerwin. That's my second favorite.
Well, I mean, my parents had a house in Cortland for a few years, so I'd go play there. What was that?
That bad boy is always for sale or something.
Walnut Run.
Walnut Run.
Yeah,
that's it.
They were a client of mine when I first started doing commercials.
Yeah, that was always a good golf course. I heard it got a little bit overgrown. They needed to trim some of the trees back.
Yeah.
That always happens.
How do you, because you have different start times, so I always equate things either like football or boxing or things of that nature. And you're training, you'd see like Floyd Mayweather like training at night so he could keep his body in tune with starting a fight at the night.
Yeah.
And
I think Tiger did that when we were heading over to China or wherever the hell we were at.
China.
He trained during that for that specific time.
He would wake up in the middle. He would wake up in the middle of the night and 3:00 in the morning because that's 3:00 in the afternoon. So he would start doing that before he got over there because he's probably taking a private plane over there and I'm taking this big commercial jet and we're flying over most of the world. But
what are you doing in the time when you're not? One day you might be starting at like 8:00 or whatever.
Yeah.
The next day you might be starting in the afternoon. Yeah. What goes on in the time, like when you're just sitting around like waiting to tee off? Like what do you do in the day? You're like hanging out in the club, you watching TV? Like what's your routine?
My routine personally is, sometimes, very rarely do you see professional athletes practice after the game. I mean, you do see it, but not very often. Golfers are probably the most active after their, the game or match at 18 holes. Not so much the whole tournament, but after the 18-hole round, maybe I didn't putt well, and I want to work on, the 8-footers that are, left to right, or I'm missing everything low from those kind of putts or something, and I need to work on something. So I'll go work, but I will take my time, not take my time, but I will go out there and I want to work on this. As soon as I think I've got it, I'll stop and I'll go in, have lunch, and then head home. I might sit at the table for an hour and bullshit with some of the guys, but most of the time I go home and relax and just try to rest my body and then have a nice dinner and go to sleep, get my 8 hours, and wake up the next day and do it all over again.
How are some of the guys like when you first got on the tour? Is it like razzing the rookie, or is it like, are guys pretty cool? How was that experience like?
Well, I was bigger than everybody else, so
no one said shit.
No, I mean, I would get a little bit of shit talking, but not much. I mean, a lot of the guys are affiliated with the college they went to. If you're a Florida Gator, there's a bunch of Florida Gators on the tour, a bunch of guys from Arizona State, a bunch of guys from Clemson. Not Clemson, Oklahoma State. I mean, there's a big following with where you went to school, and there's only one other player. Andy Pope is still playing. He got his web status back, and he's a good college buddy of mine, and trying to become the second Xavier golfer on the PGA Tour. So I can't wait to to get him out there. But I didn't have a whole lot of people taking me under their wing. A couple people would say some things to me, but not on a consistent basis. But
we won't talk about the dickheads, but who is real cool?
You don't want to talk. That's like the number one question I get. I was like, who's the biggest asshole on tour?
We don't want to call them out.
I mean, I'll call anybody out.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter.
Feel free. I mean,
it's not quarantine right now. Anything goes.
It's quarantine.
But I mean, who was cool? Who actually helped you out?
I mean, most people that watch just a little bit of golf, they know who the guys that are assholes and the guys that aren't. I mean, there's some guys that just have a bad day and don't really want to talk, and we get it because I've been in a bad mood when I've walked off the green and said some stuff. But most of the guys are I would say 90% of the guys are pretty cool. I mean, a lot of them stick to their own plan. They've got families. They've got people, their families staying with them. They've got their own business that they need to take care of, and everybody's got a different routine. So I get it, but there are some that 10% are insane. They're crazy, and most golfers know who they are, and I got no problem calling them out or whatever. I mean, I've yelled at people on the golf course for doing stupid shit or stuff that just won't fly on tour, and I think we need more of that self-policing on tour as far as if a guy's walking around and while you're trying to putt, you tell him to sit down and, stand still. Like, it's no big deal. I mean, a lot more people back in the day would talk way more shit than they do now.
Well, who was real cool with you? I mean, was there somebody there?
My buddy Pat Perez. I mean, I got a bunch of guys that I hang out with or whatever, but Pat Perez is the elite shit talker in the world. I mean, there's not too many people better than it. He's a great individual. He's a big teddy bear, but I mean, he's a good friend of mine. He was kind of one of the guys that has sort of taken me under his wing a little bit and just said, don't take shit from anybody. Like, play your game. And, one of the best lessons I got this year were back to back at the Players Championship. He gave me a little short game lesson. He's like, this is what you're doing. I want you to try this. And I think is going to, take me to the next level, and I really appreciate it. But I've also tried to, help him out with the driver sometimes. So, I mean, I think it's better for some of these golfers that are struggling to stop hiring coaches and firing them like six weeks later. Ask your friend like that has done it for a long time. I know Tiger's helped Justin Thomas out with some chipping tips here and there. I mean, little things that. Some golfers just don't think about, or, it's a different way, or it's explained really a different way.
Well, it's probably hyper competitive too. So no one wants to give I want to give you the tips, but that's cool that you got some guys that are like in your corner kind of
for sure.
I mean, you a little bit.
A little bit. But I wish there was a little bit more shit talking on the golf course, but that's just me, I guess. Some people do, some people don't.
Well,
you qualified for the playoffs. The first year of the playoffs, is that correct?
I actually don't even remember what the year the first. I think it was the playoffs had already started technically I wouldn't have lost. I've never lost my card. The worst I finished was 119th my first year out on tour.
And you've been in every year,
9 straight years.
That's an incredible accomplishment.
Yeah.
What's the greatest? Let me ask it this way. On November 6, 2013, you get a hole-in-one, 409-yard par 4 in the 5th hole at the McGladrey Classic Pro-Am at the Seaside Course in Sea Island, Georgia.
You got it.
You're only the second. I found this is like incredible to me. This is only the second time in PGA Tour history that a player has scored a hole-in-one on a par 4.
Yeah.
Really?
What was that like?
Yeah.
Well, you have the golf ball at?
What's that?
It's in your tool chest.
Yeah, I got a tool chest or two, and it's actually out there.
You guys didn't hear the question. Jimmy off mic said, "Where's the golf ball that you hit the hole on?"
I've got most of them. I think my dad's got one I made in Canada a couple of years ago, but I kept a couple of the other ones that I've made, like big shots or a 2 on a par 4. So the funny story about that, making a hole-in-one on that par 4, I actually hit for the cycle on that hole for the week. I made a 1, a 2, a 3, and a 4. So
consistency.
I chipped in on Sunday for a 2.
Could you see it go in?
I actually couldn't. The reason why I knew it would go in, this is kind of a fun story. Matt Every, a good friend of mine, him and his caddy and the guys, it was in the Pro-Am, so it wasn't in the tournament. I think there's only been one hole-in-one on a par 4. It was at Waste Management. I forget who it was by, but that was the only one officially registered on tour. But this was in the Pro-Am, so we had a walk-in score and all that stuff. But Matt Every, I mean, he's he's not an overly excitable guy. You don't see him jumping around or fist pumping all the time. He does fist bump. I played with him when he won the Arnold Palmer, and he gave a fist bump when he made that putt on 18. It was pretty cool. But I saw him jumping and waving his arms as he's kind of walking and jumping across the green, and I'm like. He told me later on, I was like, the ball hit so perfect, and it rolled in, I mean, the center of the cup. I mean, it would have went in a thimble. It was kind of cool. So he was just like, yeah, it was an amazing shot. I mean, technically the hole is 409 yards, but it's not 409 on a direct line because I took it over the marsh, over everything, and carried it just 1 inch short of the green.
That's crazy.
I mean, I've been golfing with Jason But the difference is when you and I go golf, we can see our ball. When he hits it, you don't even see it.
Right.
I mean, that's how far
It's in the
it's going.
stratosphere. Yeah.
It's
Actually,
gone.
when I hit it,
That's wild.
usually you can see it because it bounces off a tree and ends up behind me.
Well, that has happened.
Yeah, I won. I actually won a one of those. We were at a golf outing. I think I was golfing with you actually, Barry.
Yes.
And I won the shortest to the tee. It was like -9 yards. I smacked it.
There was actually an award for that?
Yeah.
That-
Which I didn't stay for. I was like, I'm out of here. The hell with you guys. It smacked off the tree and ended up like behind us. And we're like, oh my god.
But Jason, tell Jim he needs to start golfing more.
Well, you
Good
should,
for his
Don.
health.
You should.
He won't
It's
go out.
relaxing.
I
It's
can, tell you,
outside.
I can tell you one thing. I never fucking golf with any of you guys. Okay, I need to golf with like the babies. I need to be in like the baby league.
Here's the thing, and Jason, going back to that, like, I'm always nervous to ask with a couple of my buddies that are in like tournament plays the whole summers and shit like that.
Yeah.
But you know what? They want to golf. They
Yeah.
know just because you're great at golfing does not mean that you don't want to be with your buddy golfing.
Yeah.
That sucks. Like, you could just try shit. Like, I've had, my buddy would say, like, well, I'm just out here just playing with irons that I would never do if I was during. So I'm just out here just kicking, just learning other things. Like, don't be afraid, right? Don't be afraid to ask your buddy that's gonna beat you. But
for sure,
just go out. And
you
have a
gotta
good time.
you gotta learn somehow. Yeah, I mean, there's guys that are self-taught and they watch videos and all that, but it's fun to go out there. Whether you have a couple beers, whether you ride in a cart, you walk, whatever. I mean, I think it's fun to just get together with a couple buddies and go out there and play. I mean, I played with Jimmy and I probably I've shot 75 with Jimmy and I've shot 65 with Jimmy. I mean, it's just fun to get out there and
People out there are like, who is this Jimmy?
Who's this infamous Jimmy?
We had to take a picture and put him on the podcast.
Well, the one thing about golf,
He's probably going to be in the Kennedy Hall of Fame for all the football stuff he did.
maybe, I don't know.
Taking
One thing
people's
about
heads
golf
off.
is one day you're good, the next day you're
You were
horrible.
pretty good at Kennedy too.
Well, sometimes. But golf is one of those sports that you have to constantly work at. One day you're pretty good at. I'm just amateur. I'm saying I go out 5 days in a row, I feel better. Mm-hmm. But you miss one day, next day you shoot like 150.
Yeah.
Like I think it's one of those games that
I
no
shoot
matter
150 every time I go.
Well, see, no matter
on
how
a
good
par
you are,
nine.
I
You
mean,
think about any.
Or on a
but you're
nine
very
holes.
consistent. I mean, like
Yeah.
you're not.
he has to be. He's a
and-
pro.
I mean,
He's a
you're-
pro.
I mean, it's the amount of work. I think some people look at golf sometimes don't realize the amount of work that has to go into actually being a consistent golfer.
Well,
I
that's
mean,
what's crazy.
Unless you're a golfer, you do know.
That's what's crazy
What
though,
goes
because
into
if
it.
you're
Yeah.
if you're athletic, like I'm an athlete, right?
Yeah.
You're an athlete. You go out on the golf course, like the first couple times, you're like, oh man, well I'm an athlete. I can play basketball, I play soccer, I play whatever it is. Then you go golf and you think it's like I'm going to hit this ball,
Dead
and
straight.
you're terrible.
Yeah.
And it's so. I can remember college roommates during like finals week or something. They're like, oh, let's go blow off some steam and go. We'll go play golf. We'll go go to the driving range, go play golf. And I played with these guys. They were from Berea, good guys. And I was awful, and I couldn't hit the fucking ball straight to save my life. I left more frustrated than when I came. I had to go to the gym and hit the heavy bag for like 45 minutes just to clear my mind. So it's not one of these things where it's like it takes an extreme amount of athleticism, but it also takes extreme amount of like this is what's kind of cool having you here.
Patience.
Patience and like there's a mental game to it.
Yeah.
Jimmy and I were talking about jiu-jitsu earlier, and he was saying, "Man, I really like it." And I said, "You'd actually like it once you get past like the close quarter stuff. You'd like it because it's real cerebral. Like golf is real cerebral,
But
which
see,
is what I'm learning.
We
here.
hold a golf club and swing it. I mean, this guy can hold a golf club and dogleg it to the left or to the right from the tee. Like we don't. That's stuff none of us understand. There's a.
I can do that too. Not
You're
by
lying
choice.
to yourself.
No. I do. Oh, trust me. When I hit it from the tee, it's going to the right or the left, not by choice.
Yeah.
But
What he's saying is he can make it happen by
Yes.
Golf is something that like you're entering knowing that you cannot master this sport. It's not possible. Like Tiger is probably the one that came closest to mastering the sport. He was unbelievable. But I mean, think about a golf course. You change a golf course every single week. We're playing that one. We're relearning that one, the idiosyncrasies of that golf course. But you go to a basketball court. how tall is a basketball?
Right.
10 foot.
Right. It's always
how
the
big
same.
is the court? It's all the same no matter
100
where
yards,
you go.
right.
Tennis court, it's 99% of the time it's all the same.
That's cool to think
Golf is one of those sports that like every shot you hit, it's not going to be the same.
Weather conditions, the grass is different.
I don't mean to compare this back to NASCAR, but like there's only
comparing to me to NASCAR.
Yeah, really.
But there's only a couple
doing?
professional sports out there that, like, I always say this all the time, is like, you watch a football game,
Yeah.
it's one team versus the other team.
Yeah.
But when you watch NASCAR, it's 43 teams versus each other every Sunday.
It is pretty cool.
Just like PGA.
Taking left turns.
You're right. But just like the PGA, there's only a couple of sports out there where there is all kinds of teams
Yeah.
facing off against each other at one time. And everyone's just used to this team, the away team versus the home team.
Yeah.
And with PGA and NASCAR and maybe a couple other sports, I can't think of them, but like,
Yeah.
there's
No,
and that's cool that
I get it.
I mean,
and
like,
they're changing every week too. They're doing the same
Right.
thing. But they're playing. They they have 500 laps or however many laps they're doing.
But they're always going left.
Yeah, they seem to go left a lot.
yeah, they do go left.
Indy racing seems kind of fun because you're going through real roads and stuff like that. So, but hey, we're getting off topic.
Let's
here.
change gears here for a second. The Hudson Country Club, does it have Busch Light?
You know what? It's been
Jason Kokrak.
It's been
wants it.
close.
They will after today.
Yeah, it probably will. It doesn't matter if they got a little bit of bourbon, and that'll be okay with me. I'm a bourbon guy too.
So that's kind of cool. I learned this today. You're actually sponsored by Eagle Rare, Buffalo Trace Eagle Rare
Yeah.
Bourbon.
Yeah.
What other sponsorships do you have, and like how hard is that to get? Like, what do you have to do to get to that level where you start to get sponsors?
If you're a likable guy, you can hang out in a crowd with a couple guys that are the leaders of a big Fortune 500 company, or as we said, Buffalo Trace. I'm sponsored by PXG, Cozen O'Connor. I mean, we're working on more and more. I've got a NetJets deal. Cavelli Enterprises here in Warren. Cavelli's been a sponsor since day one, so that's been a key sponsor for me. It's been nice. I mean, it helps down the road, but the higher rank you get in the world, the better you play, the more things you get for free. It almost works backwards. I mean, if you're playing like crap, you pay for everything, but if you're the number one player in the world, you pay for nothing.
So can you take us to Panera afterwards and get us a couple sandwiches? I'm just asking.
Well, I probably still have a couple gift cards. We can go.
I have a couple questions. I don't know if it's
yeah,
question
fire it
time
up.
yet.
Yeah, I think it's good, man.
So, one of the you talked about Cavelli and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So, like, you're always out there doing your thing. You're back at home right now,
Yeah.
even though you're not in the Mahoning Valley. But I'm sure you watch WKBN, WFMJ
Yeah.
a lot. You have a lot of Mahoning Valley support, right?
Yeah,
Do you want to take this moment to talk about them? Like, what is that support in this Mahoning Valley? Where you came from? What's that mean to you?
It was fun moving home. I mean, this is where I grew up. This is where it all started. I mean, this is where are you from? Warren, Ohio. Like, I actually mentioned Youngstown before because nobody knows where Warren is. I was like, it's near
Right.
Youngstown. It's in between Cleveland and Pittsburgh. I mean, it's where I grew up, Steel Valley. I mean, it's as you guys sitting right next to me. Most of us went to the same high school, and it was a great place to grow up. I mean, I know this area has been struggling since all this stuff's happened, and I mean, I feel for the area, but I mean, it'll come back. I mean, it's a tough area. It's not like some other places that get a little bougie, right, Jimmy?
Bougie.
Bougie.
The Mahoning Valley is definitely a gritty, salt of the earth type of area.
Yeah.
You're a gritty, salt of the earth type of guy. What's been the toughest adjustment on the PGA Tour? Like, is it a lot of people with
Travel.
affluence? It's the travel.
It's the travel. I mean, the Cleveland airport's just not. I mean, I lived in Charlotte for 10 years, moved there about a year after college. Or actually, I moved to Florida, and then I moved to Charlotte after that. Florida for the mini tours, and then once I knew the mini tour I was going to play on, which was the e-golf tour back in the day, the Tar Heel tour, I moved to Charlotte. I was there for 10 years. I had my first child in Charlotte. I married my wife in Charlotte. I mean, it was a great 10 years in Charlotte. I still love the city, but it just got a little too big, and not having any family around was, direct family, grandparents. I grew up with my grandparents. I want my kids to grow up with theirs. So moving back was, it's fun. It was an adjustment just because of the weather is quite shitty.
How beautiful.
No, I mean, it is beautiful. It's like
You get 4 seasons in one day.
Yeah,
I mean, you can't.
recently in May, which is
absolutely.
ridiculous. I mean, it snowed, it sleeted, I think it rained a little bit, and then it was sunny all in one day.
Oh, that's how it works.
Yeah, I think the biggest change
OH.
was I definitely travel a little bit more. I connect a lot more. This was before all the COVID stuff. I'm always flying through Atlanta. I'm flying through Houston, flying through, anywhere pretty much to get to my destination. Charlotte had a direct flight, I think, to every place I needed to go except for like 2. So it was a big, Charlotte was a big hub, and I like it, but I like Ohio because I want my kids to grow up the way I did.
Right.
I think I turned out pretty good, and we'll see here in the next couple of years. But.
Well, when you are in your house, excuse me, and it's snowing outside, do you have like a driving range, like an electronic driving range in your house?
So I haven't put up a simulator or anything like that.
That's the word I was. Yeah.
I haven't put that up, but actually, my cousin Jimmy, who's sitting right over here, he helped me build a nice little. I wouldn't call it a studio.
Cousin Jimmy's getting on the mic for this. I'm sorry.
Jimmy's got to come over here and at least say hello. But he helped me build a nice little studio downstairs. I'm going to put another mat down. I got a couple little putting drills and different things that I can do down there. So I got all my putters. I got a loft and line machine for the putters and my irons. So it's a kind of a quiet place for me. It's in the basement, along with the pool table. So it's fun.
So if you want to shark yourself.
Yeah. Have you hustled anybody in pool recently in the recent days?
You know what?
You're kind of past that
I
now.
really haven't played a whole lot, but I
get
do.
that sponsor.
I enjoy playing my friends and just talking trash and trying to get have a couple drinks and see if I can get either Jimmy. Say hello, Jimmy.
Hello.
Jimmy, All-American at Mercyhurst, welcome to the show. What's up, man?
I'm doing good. Thanks
Welcome
Still
back.
one of the strongest people on the planet.
Yeah,
sidelines for a bit, so happy
former student at Warren JFK. He claims you got to say it
Way
on
too
air.
many Eagles.
Did you
in
graduate
there.
from there too?
Way too many Eagles. Just remember the spirit of a Raider.
There's only one outlier on the podcast, and this guy on the couch who's not an Eagle. So
That's it.
we'll apologize.
Just remember,
in
a
advance
spirit of a Raider
that.
will take down an Eagle any day.
Yeah.
Yeah, here we go.
Can I go back to Q&A real quick?
Let's
I
go.
got one from my father-in-law, John Panagis, who I'm so excited to tell
Are
him.
you
Love this.
you texting people and they're sending you questions? That's cool,
absolutely.
man. Yeah,
It's
good
just,
stuff.
I love the live questions.
Yeah.
Text everybody. I should have sent something out on Instagram and let everybody else call. I'll give everybody your phone number and let them call in.
So, John Panagis, I'm so excited to tell him that Jason Kokrak remembers you specifically and just wants to golf with you as soon as possible. Knew about you as soon as I said John. He actually said Panagis. So, the question that he has, though, is my only question would, how do you handle the pressure when you're in the top 5 or so in a tournament? I know you have to keep your routine, but when you're putting for nothing compared to putting for big money, how do you handle it?
Putting yourself in that position over and over again. You learn from your experiences. You know what your body is going to do, and and when you're out of competition, it really it does affect you. I mean, you're not really on what you're normally supposed to do. You're not in that routine of playing against guys all the time. So when we come back, it'll be a little bit of a new experience because we've been off for so long. But it's past experiences, learning from where you've been and what you've done in those big situations. And I've had big situations, and I've done well, I've done bad, I've done everything. So I mean. When at the end of the day, I mean, do
you just take every putt the same? You don't think about the money? Because I want to be honest with you. I've been out there, and my father was like, "You make this, you get $10." And I'm like, "Don't tell me that now. Tell me that after I hit the ball." Because then, I'm talking about $10.
That's why he's telling you.
Not $1 million.
You've had putts for $1 million, $1 million plus dollars. At the end of the day, I mean, it is a game. You got to have fun with it. I like what Ricky Fowler had on his shoes. Enjoy golf. If you can't enjoy it and go out there and talk trash and still smile, tell stories, and I get Sunday and you're in the mix. Yeah, I could see having a little bit more of a game face, but I like to enjoy it while I'm out there. I mean, I don't want to play for the rest of my life. I mean, I love golf, but I also have 2 young boys that I would love to be at home and watch grow up and, be the 9-to-5 job, like not 9 to 5, but like the guy that's home with his kids all the time. I love them. I mean, they're great, but
right.
golf doesn't allow me to do that. So I would love to give another 8 to 10 years. I'll be 42 to 45 by then. And
which is how old I am now.
well, I mean,
Right? No, I got you.
but like I'm very blessed to do what I do. But like
Yeah.
I also like I've spent way less time than most people that have kids
With your kids,
with
sure.
my kids. So I've been away a lot. So a couple of years ago I was in at Sony and we had this fake missile crisis thing, and I got an alert on my phone that said a ballistic missile was on its way
In Hawaii. Yeah.
and I thought I had 20.
Oh, you were
I
in
thought I had
Hawaii?
20 minutes. I was in Hawaii, and we were playing the Sony Open, and
I remember that.
people were like throwing their kids in the sewers and stuff. Like it was
What?
going. People were going nuts. Well, it was a ballistic missile. It would have evaporated most of the island. If you could have gotten to the other side of the mountain, you probably would have been okay. But where I was at, it would have taken 45 minutes to get there. I wouldn't have got anywhere. I thought about swimming. I thought about doing nothing. So I sat there. I poured myself a glass of bourbon or scotch or whatever this guy was.
And it was
That was
Buffalo Trace, by the way.
Yeah, it should have been.
Yeah.
It should have been.
That was just an accident. Going back to it, right?
You know
Wasn't
what?
it
It
just an
was
accidental
definitely. I
text?
know what it was, and it was definitely a Buffalo Trace. It came out of the distillery itself. It wasn't. It wasn't like the elite stuff like.
I like that
Pappy
you're
and-
getting that sponsor plug in there.
Hey,
That's
you
a good thing.
You got to
do it.
try to do it
Yeah,
a little
right,
bit. I mean.
right.
I'm just trying to get that broadcast.net sponsorship on us.
Hey.
Like crushing it with Kokrak.
No, yeah, right.
You know what
yeah,
I mean?
right. Yeah,
We
good
can-
plug.
we can probably
yeah,
work
we
something
can
out.
dig that.
We can go back and
I
forth.
dig that.
We can work something out.
Speaking about sponsorships, Jason's had a taste of the Modern Methods Darlene, man. What do you think about that?
I do. I like it. I mean,
Another worn product.
I'll tell you what. I get a lot of questions. There you go. I like it.
was
You
just
get a
a-
lot of questions about Warren. Like, do you know this guy? I'm like, yeah. I mean, I don't know Dave Grohl, personally, but I mean, he's
Right.
He only knew this
affiliated
area for 8 months of his entire life.
Yeah, but I mean, he's still here. But I think it's great anytime you get a company like this to make a great product that's gonna make something big. So I'm all for helping out some local stuff and doing whatever I can.
Well, you helped us out today coming on the podcast with all the prodders. I know we didn't say this early on when we first started, but it's been really awesome getting electrified
Oh, absolutely.
with Jason Kokrak. That was your line. That was supposed to be your
That
line.
was supposed to
yeah,
be
Electrified.
Yeah, that's Brandon's
Trying to look at
catchphrase.
my final question out there. This is from a guy from out in Boardman, John Snow. He is
John
insider for all.
Snow.
That's an
Insider for all
That's
the
an inside
broadcasters.
joke from season 1, Jon Snow.
What's your
I have a
favorite-
different joke about somebody else that uses that exact name.
What's your favorite golf movie?
Favorite golf movie?
Check.
Well, I think it has to be Caddyshack. I mean,
Right.
I quote it all the time. I mean, it's
Tin Cup.
You ever watch
Tin
the
Cup-
documentary behind the scenes?
Tin Cup's pretty
Like,
good. Yeah, I love Tin Cup.
A lot of the
behind-
golf movies, The Legend of Bagger Vance. I mean, there's a lot of good golf movies out there. There's there's another one out there that was a kind of not a spin-off, but like a different version of the Bagger Vance thing, and that I heard it was good too. But Caddyshack is just a classic movie.
Sure,
It's
right.
one of those movies, kind of like like an old school or something like that, that you can continue to watch over and over again.
Over and over.
That you find like little things about it. I mean, it's not. Well,
the Caddyshack.
you
ever watch the documentaries
it
behind
is
it?
pretty interesting that you bring that out. Bill Murray is another affiliate with a sponsor, William Murray, which is the clothes that I wear now. So William Murray
You
is.
met Bill Murray?
I have met Bill Murray. Yes,
How was he? Was he super cool?
he's awesome.
Did he
Yeah.
tap you on the back of the shoulder and whisper in your ear, "No one will ever believe that I did this to you"?
No, but he didn't. It was at the AT&T Pro-Am when I first met him, and he's getting berated with pictures. This is like before I was sponsored by William Murray, and he was affiliated with it. So I was just like, "Hey, Bill," it was with Bill and Clint Eastwood. I was like, "Hey guys, do you mind if I get a picture?" And they knew that I was a golfer in the AT&T, so they knew I was a pro. I took the picture, and the lady like fell over or dropped the camera, and they're like, "Take the damn picture." I'm like, "Well, this is not my problem. This is not my area of expertise right now. I would love to take a picture with you guys, but if you got other things to do, that's fine. I'll meet you out on the golf course. It's no big deal. I'll see you on the range." But I had the guys are incredible. Bill's an incredible human being, and I'm glad to be a part of the William Murray team.
Do you get any because you have a lot of access now? You're traveling the world. You're traveling to different places in the United States.
The networking is out of control.
He's traveling to the broadcast.
You're the broadcast
all the way back home to Warren.
He was real sheepish about coming in to meet us today.
Are we going to the shoe afterwards?
The horseshoe is not quite what it used to be back in the day, but maybe
It's a complete different downtown.
But when you meet people, do you ever get have you ever gotten starstruck? Is there any experiences with that, or you're just kind of like, I'm just a normal guy?
Not a whole lot. I mean, I try to treat people the same way, no matter if it's just somebody random that you meet on the street. I was walking around San Diego, and I got mistaken for somebody else, and I'm like, no, I'm a golfer, but I'm not that person. So, thank you. Thanks for asking.
Who did you get mistaken for?
I get John Rahm sometimes.
I don't know who that is.
I don't know who that is.
He's the number. I think
who's our fact checker?
I think he's a number 3 player in the world. He's
another golfer.
He's a Spaniard, and he is really good.
For the prodders out there, I was a little bit nervous, Jim. You said, "Hey, we got Jason Kokrak coming." I'm like, That's legit. No offense to any of our other 33.
No, man.
But legit, I'm warm and proud, baby.
This dude came in and
Shut up,
he
Jimmy.
comes in with Jimmy. Now, I never met Jimmy before, so I thought this is his agent. Here's the thing.
No,
Kokrak
Jimmy
comes
is
in,
my bodyguard.
Jimmy sits down with an iPad and he's doing all this other stuff and he's got his Bills hat on backwards. And I'm like, okay, maybe this is going to be real serious. And then the Busch Lights come out. And I'm like, wait a minute. You know what I mean? So for the prodders out there.
You know what? We're real people, too.
Right.
It's not
There
that
you
big
go.
of a deal.
Celebrities are real people, too.
Yeah, celebrities do have a couple of beverages when they got a driver. And we'll have some fun. We'll talk about whatever you guys want to talk about. But I'm happy to be here. This is fun for me. I get to talk a little bit about my sponsors. I get to reconnect with you first of all. I mean,
well, thank you.
I haven't seen you in forever. I mean, Barry talks about you all the time. You get a couple.
As everyone knows from the previous episode.
A couple honorable mentions.
That episode's going to go on actually after this one. We're going to have to edit the one that Barry and I got a little sidetracked on, but. Yeah,
It happens.
I would see Jason walking around the halls, and I was like, man, that's that kid that's like real good at golfing. Because Kennedy's always had like great athletics and like really good.
For such a small school.
For a small school,
they've been great.
Yeah, been amazing.
Well, I mean, you guys do Hail Marys. I mean,
Hail
a couple
Marys.
Hail Marys.
Well, that's true. Hail Mary. Yeah, what was the thing?
Well, this is an important
Our Lady of Victory.
like how many Hail Marys do you say before you tee off?
0.
None.
Oh, nice.
None.
It's nice that you brought those Catholic roots to you on the PGA
I am a
Tour. I'm teasing.
I am a God-fearing man, but I mean, I went to a Catholic school, yes, but it doesn't matter. You went to Harding?
I went to Warren Harding, that public
Warren
school.
Harding.
Sorry. The one that was free for us to go to.
Yeah, that's okay. That's okay. That's okay. As I said, I'm very blessed to do what I was able to do. My parents decided to send me to Kennedy.
And you've done extremely well.
I've done
for
okay.
yourself.
I've done okay.
Hey, where can everybody find out? I know that you have, Jason's got his own show. Again, it's called Crushing It with Kokrak on Sirius XM.
Yeah. Once a month.
Once a month.
Yep.
Is there a schedule? Do you have a website? Where can people find more stuff out about you?
Well, I mean, we're trying to develop a little bit more of the social media presence with me. We're definitely tackling that. I think I do have a website. I don't do a whole lot of maintenance on it. Somebody else takes care of that for me. But you can look me up anywhere on the PGA Tour. The PGA Tour has a bio about me. I mean, it's probably ancient from the first year I was out on tour. I mean, I'm an open book. You can call me. Oh, yeah, well, Jimmy has just given me a misspelled word. Well, thank you. I appreciate it. I am on board with Bettinardi putters, but they've been great. I've been using them for a little while. But
Who is it now?
Bettinardi.
Bettinardi putters.
Yeah,
Okay.
Scotty Cameron. I was a Scotty Cameron guy for a long time. I've changed companies quite a bit in the past few years, so I've gone through a couple of them. So I'm with Bettinardi, PXG right now, clubs and TaylorMade woods. Vokey wedges. So, I've got a mixed bag. I told
Those are your recommendations for anybody that's going out to golf. Buy these products; they will make you a better golfer.
That was one of my questions.
The only thing that I can say about an amateur golfer is to get fit for golf clubs. I mean, there is a lot more that goes into golf clubs than most people think.
And Jason on Instagram at Jason Kokrak.
There you go. Thank you, Barry.
It's recently
K-O-K-R-A-K.
changed from Jay Kokrak to Jason Kokrak.
Jason Kokrak
being a little
on
bit more
Instagram.
official.
Kokrak. Listen,
It's very good. Nobody gets it right.
Ladies and gentlemen, listeners, lovers, and friends, we hope you enjoyed the show. We want to thank you for coming on, man. Dude, we had
glad to do it.
Yeah, we had a ton of fun. We've actually got a gift bag out there for you. I don't want to, knock any of the other guests.
For all the...
Yeah, well, it might be under $25. We wanted to make sure we sent you away with something, so we got a little packet of Axio, which is an energy drink that you can check out. And if you want to see it at biohacktomorrow.com, because we're all about, you're getting older, Jason. You're 34
older, Jason.
now.
Yeah.
You're going to have to start taking care of your body.
35 on Friday.
Your birthday's coming up.
Yeah.
What year did you graduate then? 02 or 03?
2003. Okay.
I'm an 03 grad on June 5th. Nice.
Yeah, you guys can celebrate and clink glasses together later on. Awesome.
And now, without further ado, ladies, what is it?
You totally blew it. Yeah.
We have... That was just the opener.
Jimmy's gonna buy
Now we have Jimmy for the full episode now. That was just the opener, right? Jason was just the opener for Jimmy's podcast.
Yeah, and now we're going to do Jimmy, All-American at Mercyhurst.
I do have a good caddy story, but nothing about me. But
Well, let's hear it.
He does.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Were you caddying for Jason?
Jimmy.
Kokrak.
I'll make this as quick as I can. But just
It's going to be 13 minutes. Go ahead.
just to end it all. But so I live in Houston, Texas, which is middle of Texas,
Far away from
Yes.
Ohio.
Very far away, and
Warm.
and Jason's
Moist.
playing up in Colonial, which is in Fort Worth, Texas, about 4.5 hours away. And he calls me after one of his rounds and says, "Hey, I might need you." And I'm like, well, "What do you mean you might need me?" Carry my bag. And his old caddy at the time, I think
He was having a baby,
having a
and
baby or
he's like,
something
"I
like
need
that.
to go." I said, "No problem. Do your thing. Family's first. I'll find somebody."
Family first. I like
Right.
it.
So, usually I go to bed about 9:30. I'm, just not a very exciting person.
Creature of habit.
Not a very exciting person, but I'm a routine guy. So I think the NBA Finals or something was on, or playoffs, and he says, "I'll call you right back." And you think like, well, 5-10 minutes. He calls him back about like hour and a half, 2 hours later. So now it's like 10:30, even maybe even later. And he says, "Yeah, I need you."
Can you be in Fort Worth? And I could have gotten somebody else. I mean, there was
How far
somebody.
is Fort Worth from where he's at?
A little bit over 4 hours.
Yeah,
Oh, and
it's a drive.
Well, the other
going
part,
80 too.
Well, the other part about it is that he didn't have that nice 1:30 tee time. He had the first one off the box.
Well,
which-
I barely made the cut, and I was playing terrible, and I actually don't know how I made the cut.
No, you didn't make the cut.
Don't bring the driver thing.
You didn't
up
make the
either.
cut. That's why. Anyway, so it was. He said, "Yeah, okay, I need you," and I'm like, "All right, well." What am I going to say? So I was at, a different job at the time, and I just decided to, blow it off, and I didn't sleep at all and got up at about
What, 3 o'clock in the morning?
a little bit before that, about 2:33.
Yeah, you got on the road. You were absolute trooper, and I went out there and hit it in every single bunker across the entire golf course. And he had to rake all of them without any sleep, without any
Well,
booze
the
in his
backtrack,
system.
it's a good story because it's not like we show up like 2 seconds before we hit the tee shot. So he has to practice and do all that stuff. So I had to leave so early to scoop him up. And then we go and have breakfast. And so, like, the night before, I'm watching the NBA Finals
I
with
got
my
you in to
wife.
have breakfast. It was
and,
nice.
And now we're eating breakfast, and Jordan Spieth just sits down and eats breakfast with us. So I'm like,
Who?
Jordan Spieth.
Oh yeah, no
Who I-
shit.
So I'm like, I'm rubbing.
I
I'm
think he
still,
was
I'm
like
still
top 10 in the
rubbing.
world
I'm still
at the
rubbing.
time.
I'm still rubbing like the eye boogers out of my eyes because I'm like, I don't even know where I'm at. Like I'm tired. Like this is, I don't even want to be here. And I did want to be there, but so we eat with a little breakfast. Jordan Spieth. We go out and hit the ball, and he's struggling.
I was struggling with
He's
the
struggling
driver at the time.
and he looks at me and he's like, he has 2 drivers in his bag. And again, I'm like making sure I don't want to embarrass him. I want to clean everything perfect. I just don't want to I don't want to embarrass him.
Right,
I want
right,
to do
right.
my best.
You want to be
But
professional, but a cousin at the
He
same time.
did. He did an incredible job. I
that
mean,
was my priorities. Don't because it's big time. I never
Yeah.
carried
it
a
was
bag
it was
before.
Sunday at Colonial. It's a invitation only tournament. It's a big event. I mean,
you
it's
don't
a
wanna
bigger
screw it
event
up for
than
'em.
He said-
a lot of
he said,
events out
what
there.
driver should I hit? I can't hit. Both of them don't hit well. I said, well, which one do you hit further? And he said this driver, and I was like, well, hit the one further. So we go out and play. He birdies the first hole, which is a par 5, dogleg right, and then we both struggled the rest of the way. In a lot of ways.
No question. I mean, it's not an easy golf course. It's the first right after the first couple holes. It's called the Horrible Horseshoe. Around that place, it's the 3 or 4 hardest holes on the PGA Tour, and I think I proceeded to bogey most of them, all the way in. But most of the bunkers that are on that golf course, I visited.
A few
and
people-
Jimmy raked.
I raked a lot of bunkers that day.
You are a
and
professional.
and you looked at every single one to make sure I did it well. But
Well,
a lot
I
of
can
them asked me like, "Hey, what did your cousin? Did he pay you or whatever?" I was like, "You know what he did?
Chick-fil-A.
We went back to that. We went back to the house after we missed the cut, and we hung out. And me and my cousin are close. So
Are you still salty about that?
No, it's a good story
So what
because
happened?
You wanna
So
talk
how'd you
about
get
it?
pissed?
because I would never expect it. But there's
Hold
like
on, what happened?
there's an expectation like, well, you got this, and that. I'm like,
He's
well,
never gotten any golf clubs ever.
so we hang out. I say, hey,
And
can
he's
you-
pissed about
I
it,
say,
too.
can you drive me to the airport? Which, by the way, is an hour more north than Houston, Texas.
So now
I'm
you're
like,
5 hours home.
yeah, at least. So I'm like, yeah, of course, I'll take you to the airport. So we hang out. We go to Chick-fil-A. By the way, someone parked so close to the passenger side door that you couldn't fit a deck of cards. between
Driver's
it.
side door. I was like, I don't know how they're there.
So that's a different story we can talk about off air what we did.
That'll be
That's on Jimmy's pride.
That'll be episode.
Yeah,
number
that's
2.
part 2. Yeah.
So to wrap it up, we had Chick-fil-A. He pulled out his very thick wallet and paid for that. And then I drove him to the airport. I drove 5 hours back to Houston. Got home at like 10:30, 11. Had about 100 emails because I had like a corporation job where it was like, hey, where are you at on the conference call? Like,
Well,
hey,
I'm on the golf course.
You got,
did you or did you not get away with it because of what you were
you
actually
have about 12
doing?
bosses that are trying to justify their jobs, but it's
Anytime you need to
I
do
said
that, just blame it on me.
I said I got the $9 number one with no pickles. That was my pay for the day. But
Let me ask you a question real quick. You guys are both like prodders out there. They
Sorry,
can't
Jimmy.
see these
I'll give you
guys.
my wallet after the
They're
round.
both big dudes. Like Jimmy's probably
They're
6'4". Or how are you 6'4"?
about 6'2", about 240.
Yeah, 6'2", 240. He's a
Quarantine 50.
Would you play?
He's a giant
Jimmy, would you
human
play,
being.
He's an animal.
position?
He was a linebacker. He was
Linebacker since 8th grade.
Yeah, he was an animal. This dude, honest to God, like, so I was teaching there at the time when. But did you guys both graduate the same year? Or just
He's a year ahead of me.
I'm a year ahead
Yeah,
of
that's what I
Jimmy.
thought. There's a year difference between you guys.
About 6 months difference in age, but
So he was like making headway on the golf course, like, because he was getting a shit ton of write ups. Like Jason, you were like, he won state 2 years, and then Jimmy was playing as a. There's only I think that I can remember was only one other player that played middle linebacker as a sophomore that started as a sophomore, and that was Chris Urchek. And Chris Urchek started on the 91 JFK State championship team with Jeff Barrickman, who was another animal. And these guys were animals, okay?
Right.
And then here comes this kid. Now, Jimmy and I knew each other. Jimmy used to come over to the Rossies and play basketball. I lived next door to Jill Rossi.
When you
and
like to
he
hang
was,
out with people 10 years younger.
no, like I say, listen, you're a Harding guys, Raider guys is Eagle country.
Well, there's
up in
only
this
I get
motherfucker
Eagle
now.
Country made
Okay.
of 17 people.
Silence.
But anyways,
Made of all 17.
this kid used to come over and play basketball, so I knew him from back in the day. Of course, I knew him through Barry. And then as a sophomore playing linebacker on a very, very, very good stacked JFK football team.
They were soft.
Barry says they're soft. As a sophomore, he was smashing people. Like I could still remember him kind of like trying to jump the gun, jump the snap, like in the gap in between, the nose guard and whoever trying to. Man, it was impressive. So two of these guys, and you guys are first cousins,
yeah.
and
And Barry makes what? A fifth, fourth.
cousins.
Yeah, we were right.
We're all cousins. Barry's my brother, and we're all
cousins.
Yeah, but Barry graduated in '95, and these two guys are 03, 04?
04 for me and 03 for
Yeah, 03, 04, and so. Yeah, it was a kind of a cool tandem. So it's cool to have both you guys here, and you guys are both in still really good shape, and that's a good story about the caddy. I mean,
I appreciate the really good shape. I mean, it's a little suspect for both of us.
I'm just saying, you look a lot.
I mean, I'm going to be honest. He came in and I said, he looks like shit. No, I'm only kidding.
I'm way less fat than I used to be.
You look pretty good, man. He's ready for the tour.
I'm still fat.
Solid.
He's ready for the tour. He's going to hit the shit out of the ball.
I'm in fighting weight right now.
Coming up. Well,
what's fighting weight? Can I? What's below heavyweight? Because I don't want to get hit in the face.
Well, you could be a cruiserweight, but you're far from that.
I'm sure.
Yeah. I'm at 156 pounds. I could fight welterweight like right now.
Yeah.
Anyways, that's an episode 2 of the podcast. Jason Kokrak and Jimmy Kokrak by proxy, and Barry Berkey. And
Jim
of course,
Fogarty.
yeah, well, we
Gotta give a shout out to Barry's artwork over there.
And my wife were saying
incredible. I hope he does a little golf theme thing for me soon. That I will happily.
he should
take
do
over.
absolutely,
He should do
Barry.
a
Why don't
painting
you?
of you, actually.
Hey,
Yeah.
No,
Barry set this
please.
up too, so thank you for
Please.
Barry
No,
for
And
setting
for,
this
and for
up.
my
Yeah,
understanding,
right,
Barry,
for
you
sure.
do that painting for Jason, he'll get you that number 7 at Chick-fil-A. So
With pickles.
with pickles.
No, without pickles. I hate pickles.
He says a number 1 with pickles.
Northern folks.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, listeners,
Are you
lovers,
Southern?
and friends, until the next time on the show, we thank you for tuning in. And please give Jason Kokrak a follow, man, and wish him luck as the tour starts. Man, wish you a ton of luck.
Appreciate it.
I'll be rooting for you. My stepdad, Gary Lucarello, is a big fan of yours, man. He's been following your career, and we're all wishing you well. He actually provided some of the questions today because, like
Yeah.
I said, I'm not a golfer.
You know
so-
what? Glad I can represent Warren Proud. I mean, I know I'm from the area. Unfortunately not born here, but raised here since 2 weeks old. So
We love Canadians, too.
yeah, that's all right.
Yeah. Hey, thank you so much for coming. Appreciate you guys. Until the next time, stay electrified and keep on prod and stay safe out there and be kind, people. Watch the PGA Tour. Peace.